Hey everybody, I'm Stuart, and as you can see, basketball wasn't a sport I played very much. Have you ever missed the shot during the most important game of the season? What about being ignored by your best friend, or getting detention, or getting embarrassed in front of your crush? I can't decide which one of those is the worst. Which one do you think is the worst? So what does all of this have to do with what we're talking about today? Well, I think if I'm being honest, some of us might think that our topic today is the worst thing that we can talk about at church. That is sex and relationships. We are gonna have some real talk about some real things when it comes to sexual stuff. Now, maybe you're thinking, wait a minute, is it even okay to talk about stuff like sex and relationships at church? That sounds like it's going to be really awkward. Well, sometimes it might be. We believe that the best place to have real talk about really important things is here at church. And we want to be able to talk about anything here, including sex and relationships. So even if we feel a little awkward at times, we're just gonna have to dive into these real conversations together. And today, I wanna talk about something that can have a pretty big impact on the way that you and I see both sex and relationships, and that's pornography. But before we jump in, I want you to know a few things. The first, this is a safe space. That means there's no judgment, no question that's too embarrassing to ask, and no conversation that's off limits. Second, I think it's important to make sure that we're all on the same page about what we're talking about when we say pornography, because chances are a lot of different things come to mind when you hear that word. Pornography is any pictures, videos, or written material that shows or describes sex, sexual acts, or naked bodies in ways that are meant for sexual enjoyment. This could include things like pictures you find online, or movies, or TV shows, or books, or notes, or DMs that are sexual, or nude photos that you send or receive. This may not be true for you, but some people see pornography for the first time when they're in middle school, or maybe some even younger. Some teenagers are searching for pornography at least once a month, and a lot of teenagers are sending and receiving nude pictures and videos on a regular basis. They're looking at pornography pretty often, even if no one else knows about it. And because of that, it's so important to talk about pornography, especially here at church. Here's the thing, pornography is a big deal. And whether you're totally freaked out, or a little curious, or already involved with it, pornography is something that's going to come up in your life one way or another. It's something that can impact sex and relationships in your own life. And that's why we need to talk about it in a real way together, even if it feels a little awkward or uncomfortable sometimes. See, pornography has the potential to change the way that you and I see sex and relationships. It can cause you to start keeping secrets from the important people in your life. It can cause you to change what you think that sexual things should be like. It can cause a lot of anxiety and doubt if the person that you like or you're dating is looking at it often. Or it can put pressure on you to do something, or try something, or look at something that you don't feel comfortable with. In other words, when it comes to sex and dating, pornography can make things seem better or more normal than they really are. It gives us an unrealistic view of what sex and relationships should be. And it can lead us to sexual situations that aren't healthy, they aren't respectful, they aren't honoring towards ourselves or the other person. And the point of this conversation is to get to the truth of sex and relationships. We want to help you know not just what's best for you, but also what honors other people. Remember, we're here to have real talk about the truth about sex and relationships. And that means we have to see things like pornography for what it is, something that can hold you back from God's best for you. And I want you to experience God's best for you in all areas of your life. So as we have real talk today, I want to talk about a guy named Paul, who thousands of years ago was the king of real talk. He was one of the leaders in spreading the message of Jesus. He wasn't afraid to get real about what it meant to follow Jesus. But in certain places Paul went, that message wasn't always welcome. Eventually, Paul actually ended up in prison because of his faith. And that's actually where he was when he wrote the letter that we're going to look at today. See, even though Paul was in prison, he wanted to encourage other people who believed in and followed Jesus to live the way that God called them to live. Paul knew that knowing Jesus changes everything. So he wanted to do whatever he could from wherever he was, even in jail, to make sure that Christians could know Jesus and follow his teaching. So in his letter to the people in a town called Ephesus, Paul gave them and us a way to think about the decisions that we make and the lives that we live. So let's take a look. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. So right away, we get this new way to think about how we live. It's a question to ask about every choice we make. Is it wise or is it unwise? See, we often think about decisions in a really simple way. It's either right or it's wrong. And if it's right, then it's good. But if it's wrong, then it's definitely bad. Now, I don't know about you, but trying to figure out if every single thing I do is right or wrong seems exhausting. Like, is it right to watch this show? Is it wrong to listen to this song? Is it right to date that person? Is it wrong to want to hold their hand? It feels impossible to figure out. And that's why I think Paul gave us this new way to think about our choices, wise or unwise. See, a wise person thinks about the choices they make before they make them. They use their judgment and their knowledge and their experience to make the best choices they can, both for themselves and for others. Wise people think not just about now, but they think about the future because they know their choices are taking them somewhere. And they want to make sure the place they're going in life is where they want to be. But an unwise person, well, they make decisions without thinking about them all that much at all. They don't think about the way that their choices might impact their lives or the lives of those around them. They go down a path in life with no clear direction, and that eventually takes them somewhere they don't want to be. And here's what's true for all of us. Our choices take us somewhere. They lead to other things. Think of it like this. Train tracks are designed to get a train to a specific location, and there are tracks that lead in different directions, like this one or like this one, and whichever track the train takes, it can end up in all types of places. It's the same way with our choices. There are so many different choices like this that we can make, and our destination, where we end up, depends on what tracks we choose along the way. And unwise choices when it comes to things like pornography can lead you towards all kinds of places that you don't want to be. You can find yourself dealing with addiction, insecurity, bad relationships, secrets, and more. But wise choices, well, they can lead us towards better things. They can lead you to becoming the kind of person who not only honors yourself, but honors the person you're in a relationship with too. They can help you experience God's best for your life. See, that's why it's important to have real talk about pornography so that we can help each other understand what's wise and encourage each other to choose it for our lives. But here's the deal. I get that this isn't easy. I understand that for a lot of you, this almost feels impossible. And maybe that's because you're so far in with pornography already that the thought of actually being able to stop and make a wise decision feels incredibly difficult. Or you may feel like you made a decision that took you to a destination that you can't come back from. And I also understand that most things that we hear about sex and relationships tells us that pornography is a totally normal part of it, that everybody sees it, that it's not a big deal, that there really isn't a way out. But here's what Paul said. The temptations in your life are no different from what others experience. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you're tempted, He will show you a way out so that you can endure. See, we're always going to be tempted. Every single one of us is going to struggle with making unwise choices over and over and over again. But when we find ourselves in that place, we can remember that there is a way out. We can stop the train, back it up, and choose a different track to find a way out. And that way out is with God, because God is with you. God isn't mad at you. God hasn't left you to figure it out on your own. God will show you the steps to take to get out of it. And God will go with you as you choose to do what's wise. Remember, it's important to have real talk about pornography. And that's actually where I want us to start today. First, talk about it. Think of just one person in your life that you can have real talk about pornography with. A trusted adult like your group leader or a parent or a guardian that you can turn to with questions or confusions or curiosities and more. Someone you can open up to and ask for help when you're struggling. Someone who's going to help you think about and choose what's wise for you when it comes to sex and relationships. Then think about what's wise for you. Instead of thinking about what's right and wrong, think about what's wise. Are those DMs, those pictures, that movie, those words leading you towards God's best for your life? Are they honoring to you and to the person on the other end of them? Are they changing the way that you see or interact with other people? Are they confusing you? Are they creating a need to see more? Ask yourself these questions and think about if it's wise for you to keep doing those things. If it isn't, then take one step toward a way out. Sometimes that means praying. Sometimes it means talking to a counselor or a group leader or a parent for help. Sometimes it means setting boundaries so that you can make better choices. Sometimes it means changing a relationship or a habit. But no matter what step you take, with God's help and with the help of the adults who care about you, there's always a way out. And finally, I want you to know it's okay if you feel uncomfortable about pornography. Maybe you feel really awkward when it comes up in conversation, or you really like someone who looks at it a lot. Or you have a friend or a sibling who shows you things that you didn't ask to see. And if that's you, it's okay to be uncomfortable with those things. It's okay to speak up and say no. It's okay to not want to send those pictures or to watch that movie or to do something with your boyfriend or your girlfriend you don't want to do. And if you find yourself struggling to speak up about something that you're not okay with, go to that trusted adult in your life to talk about it. Let that be your first step towards what's wise for you today. See, it's important to have real talk about pornography because we want to help you choose what's wise. We want to help you find the truth about sex and relationships, and we want you to do that in a way that's healthy and honoring to you and the people around you. So, will you consider opening up to your group leader about your questions, your concerns, and your struggles? Your group is a safe space for you to open up about difficult subjects in your life with an adult that you can trust to help you and support you and love you through it all as you learn what's wise for you.